let's get right to the first comic that I kind of have lined up that I want to talk about. And if you have seen my video, I'll put a link there for the X-O Manowar Unconquered issue number one. I thought this was it was a Valiant series that I remember enjoying. I'm not up to date on all of the other Valiant books and iterations of X-O Manowar, but Liam Sharp does the art, and I think you'll agree this is just some interesting elements. For those of you who don't know much about X-O Manowar, imagine Iron Man, a Tony Stark AI suit with a person inside who has sort of like the heart, motivation, and abilities of sort of like a Viking or, Thor, that type of personality. Like you literally have that type of thing. I also think this comic has been so interesting for me. I think this is a missed opportunity. Valiant is missing out on an opportunity where Marvel and DC are not catering directly to fans, especially the nostalgia of the 90s. This book feels very much like that with just some nuances, which I think you'll enjoy. But imagine an X-O Manowar, McFarlane toy scale quality landing in retail, which is where things need to go. They've got to get in front of new customers. They got to have stuff that's in front of, and it needs to say, the X-O Manowar character straight from Valiant Comics. So people go, what is that? Maybe have a picture on the back that shows issue number one or whatever this, maybe you have a figure that is for a certain title or a certain series or anything like that. 30th anniversary stuff. Like Valiant's missing out on an opportunity because the other ones are ignoring their customer base. And I understand Comicsgate, Indiegogo, Kickstarter campaigns. A lot of that stuff being driven by the people that are this talented. They're still selling and creating great quality stuff. So issue number one really has to do more with giving you at least a little bit of the backstory and this version of the backstory, and then putting Aric in a situation where he's in conflict again. Here's the introduction comment. Stranded deep in space, Aric of Dacia and his sentient armor Shanhara face down an unknown foe. Though badly damaged, the Visigoth warrior, that's what he is, known as X-O Manowar, prepares for battle for his life and no hesitation because at this point he remained unconquered. There you go. Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad have credits on the writing. Of course, Liam Sharp's doing the art and the letter. Troy Patiri with Liam doing the cover as well. There's some variant covers. Not a big fan of having so many variant covers for random issues, but that's okay. So you can see the style adjusts itself to the story in a lot of ways. So we're getting sort of like this conflict of this Roman based group of violent warlords and emperor who's attacking him. He's a Visigoth clan. And this is how his armor is on him. You can see this visor here. He's blasting off to face them. This is what he's going up against. The Romans. You can see them coming in. If you like Bosakovich work, Kent Williams work, you'll see some flavors of that in here as well. You also like, the Viking lore, Conan stuff. Some of that's in here. But at the same time, it's also action and superhero based. But you can see some of the blood. It's not, I don't think it's graphic that would be inappropriate for children. Let me go back to the top. Does it have a PG-13 warning? I don't think it has, and I don't think it needs to. Yeah, good. It doesn't need to. And you know why the Marvel and DC have them? Because they have to curse. And it's so retarded. Like their main brands, like Superman and Batman, will have a PG-13 on it. This is a book that has like Viking blood gashing and craziness going on. It doesn't need to be PG-13. It's just, okay, it is what it is. A 9 or 10-year-old, yeah. 5 or 6, yeah, not so much. But, yeah. So these are the leaders. They're basically attacking him. These are the leaders that are aboard their combat vessel, and they're attacking him to get the armor. The entire goal is to figure out how to get the armor and then separate him from the armor for their own motivations, and obviously to, conquer and bloodshed. And you can see he's just going to. And I will say that this is fun because here you have him communicating with Shanhara, who is the AI, and she's talking about, don't get too close. Like, there's a proximity. It's not, and he's like, no, that's a great idea. Let me get closer. It'll be easy to destroy them. I thought it was great, by the way. So it just shows the personality stuff. So anyway, so they kind of they realize that they're going to have to kind of ramp up their attacks, and they bring her in. Her name comes out later, but they fire this thing called a mortem sagita missile, which is basically like Roman in Latin. I'm sorry, it's Latin, which makes sense because it's Romans. That it's deadly arrow would be a direct translation, arrow of death, something like that. So the missile comes in and hits him, and I thought, and it's interesting because it was like even Shanhara knows this is not going to go well. They're not going to know, and I liked how they did this. They didn't do this how I thought they would do. He did something when they break this in. They did sort of like the unwiring. Notice that this is like the unwiring of Manowar. They're separating him out. He's very, very damaged. I liked all that. I don't know how I felt, and I like the ship, the way they took the ship and kind of broke all of this into chunks. Are they going for scale? Because this is how small. Yeah, I guess. Didn't care for that as much. And this is just the aftermath. He's in sort of like chaos mode, coma mode, basically. I don't know that we need to have this sometime later timestamps that we have regularly, by the way. This is him puking. These are his eyes I didn't care about so much. But other than that, I think this stuff is fantastic. And just the idea of they're bringing him forth before all of their people. They give you enough of the backstory along the way and not like a whole bunch of exposition drops. It's like, I am Cadmus of the Novus Romanus First Legion, which is the new Roman First Legion. We're honored to have you aboard, blah, blah, blah. They're going with the whole feast thing, trying to put some sugar on it first. He's not going to go for that. And you can see they introduce themselves to him. So now you, at the audience, if you don't know who everybody is, you're kind of caught up. And then we kind of move forth, and it's not going well, right? So you have, this is the person that was in the battlefield against him, and she's very condescending because she just calls him Visigoth, right? And she's introduced here as Thyra Antius. She's the senior Legion Centurion, and I got to be honest, she's just a warrior, so I don't have a problem with how she's presented. People are like, oh, it's woke. No, not really. She's a warrior. Fight scenes, some action, some violence, all ever goes on. Now, this is how he does the fact that he is still connected to Shanhara. The Man of War armor chose him, so there's not really a way that we, at least in the stories thus far, that how he can be separated. So they are communicating, and she has explained, and they continue here with like, I need more time to heal. The armor needs to heal, and he needs to heal. Like, everyone's injured from the blast, everyone's injured from the fights. He continues to get himself in fights and conflicts, and he can't escape yet. And then he's visited by this character who was introduced last time. She's a soothsayer. Now, what's interesting is how they it's actually strange and awkward, which again, I think is great. If you're going to do some things that have been done in multiple ways in multiple decades, then let's try to find something a little bit different. And he's figuring out how, I need to find out what she knows. He calls her a witch, and her name, he gives her a name, Nemani, I think how you would probably go with that. And this is how it's presented on how he's going to get information from her and connect with her. Make a Black Mirror reference, by the way, which I like. And this guy is like Chris Hemsworth all the way. Like, this guy is totally ripped and just totally boss with how he handles everything. It's great, beautiful done. And this is the connection that kind of takes us into the Roman history of who they are. I mean, I love the fact that they're just destructive, but you also have like this religious iconry here with like the scene from Calvary with like crucifixion. There's 3 crosses. We get it, right? But it's not like on the nose. Like, we don't say anything. We just put it out there. Beautifully done. I love the art. Doesn't have to be perfectly spot on because we're talking about a vision and all of that. And she's really almost like suffering along with him through all of this, right? Um, um, And then she's got her, that he's basically going to get visited, and he's like mocking her, like, I see you wear armor of your own. It's a pale imitation. He said, why don't you call on yours, or can we see, and we can see which is stronger. So she's talking some smack. She knows he doesn't have it yet. And then they start to kind of go a little hand to hand, and that's kind of where the issue is going to end. Now, I would say this is still a read for me. I'm going on. I'm on to X. I'll go on to issue number 3. I had a good time with this. I think that if you like some of that kind of stuff, that would be for you. So that's kind of my take on it. So